I went on a walk with one of Christine's colleagues and friend, Catherine. She asked me if I kept a journal, so I started one. It just felt natural to start as a letter. Dear Christine, I've been hearing myself a lot these days saying how funny you were. People have been nodding. They're probably referencing, direct experiences they've had with you. And I know that I cleared this with you. I asked you if I could tell people about this at your memorial, and you said, yep. When we drove to school in the morning, and then we drove back home at night, we had this running joke. I mean, it was more than a joke. It became, our master mindset, a way to play the cards that ALS had dealt us. We conceived of a film, a movie. It was definitely an indie comedy, a bittersweet, touching feature. Mind you, I'm the film professor, right? But this was her idea. It all started with the first scene, the sort of core joke of the film. The location, a downtown Middle America comedy club. The kind that a neighborhood bar might set up just because, heck, all you need to invest in is a microphone and a couple of lights. And every Thursday night, this co-op of comedians run the show. It's one of those do-it-yourself operations. The same comedians that perform book the acts, get the word out, and they split the door. On Thursday nights, one by one, each comic that came to the mic had ALS. Clearly, the stage had a ramp. Transitions, a little clunky. A lot of readjustment of things. We open to the first scene in the movie. The crowd quiets down. The sound of an electric motor, and then the top of her head appears above the audience as our first comic pilots her heavy-duty hospital wheelchair up the ramp to center stage and then pivots to face the audience. She's clearly advanced in the disease progression. Her legs are braced, her body is clamped into the chair, her arms and hands are strapped down. Now, I don't know if you're going to get the joke. A stagehand bends the microphone down close to her mouth. She's wearing a nose snorkel. It's a common ventilator device for ALS patients. It leaves the patient's mouth free to eat and to talk. And she says, are you ready? Good evening. Hey, y'all out there, clap if you have ALS. Well, it was ridiculously funny at the moment for us. I mean, we had to pull over just because we were laughing so hysterically. We both agreed it was pure genius. We had another variation. It went something like the host would come out and say, good evening, everybody. Put your hands together for our next comedian. There are a couple of super private online groups for ALS people, and they served as a kind of family for Christine and me. What we read and what we lived, it fed our movie. Our movie would tell the story of 3 couples and 1 loner. And even though ALS statistically is much more common in men, Christine's movie featured women with ALS. There was a young mother raising 2 toddlers. There was a mid-career executive cared for by her father. There was a lonely, unpublished poet of the Midwest. And there was a high school administrator and her hapless sidekick. And like all great comedy, it was built on misery, desperation, and humiliation. Our movie would cut between the 4 ongoing storylines. The mom, on receiving the diagnosis, shrieks in hysterical laughter, sending the young neurologist running from the room. The Manhattan Power Girl has her besties dress her up for a night on the town, and to camouflage her ALS slurred speech and wobbly gestures, she pretends to get drunk and then proceeds to hit on every guy in the bar. Our poet, completely in denial of her physical decline, crashes her car into her next-door neighbor's living room. There's one indescribable scene of physical comedy. It's on a French beach at a kayak rental. The two are returning from an heroic paddle beneath the famed cliffs of the Mediterranean. The rental crew rush down to the water's edge to pull in their arriving kayak. The proud and overprotective partner waves them off, struggling with the words in French, and then proceeds to dump his stricken girlfriend into the surf, simultaneously tripping the two French employee dudes into the water. The movie has a disproportionate number of diaper mishaps. There are elaborate rehearsals for pooping on a plane out over the middle of the Atlantic. There's a heart-stopping runaway wheelchair scene, blasphemous conversations in the dark, completely unworkable murder-suicide pacts, and these were the funny scenes. Our movie became so real to us that sometimes we'd mix it up with our actual life. And that's what happens when you get very close with somebody. So, is it real life or our movie when the ambulance crew wheeled Christine out of our bedroom on the day she would pass? We had thrown in the towel. We were making the emergency transport to hospice. And a paperwork mix-up stops the whole entourage in the middle of our living room. For 45 minutes, Christine is gasping on a ventilator because her lungs are quickly filling with fluid. The hospice office is on the phone attempting to fax the ambulance company main office, who then attempts to text the proper form to the driver, who is standing next to me, whose phone is running out of battery, and who wanders out on the front porch to get a better signal. Oh, Christine, our movie, funny right to the end. There's a scene I wanted to add, but I thought it up on my own, so it probably doesn't count. When she was undergoing psychedelic therapy at Johns Hopkins, I waited in a spare therapy room down the hall for the 6-hour session. My room had framed kaleidoscopic art on the walls, but the Wi-Fi was lousy, so I pretty much just sat there for the 6 hours. At one point, I got up to find a bathroom. The light turned on, I closed the door, and for a good long moment, I thought I was tripping. I was looking in the mirror, but all I saw was a blurry silhouette, patches of color. Then I realized the research team must have frosted the mirror so patients wouldn't get freaked out by their own reflection. It's a psychedelic thing. And it seems to me now that I have lost my mirror. I am sure it's terrible psychology, but Christine was such a marvelous mirror. You spoke to her and you felt seen. With all her energy, with her heart, her intelligence, her embrace of the irreverent. Now, though she's the one that has passed, I'm the one that feels like a ghost. Christine also wouldn't mind if I told you about my problem with making Christmas cookies. She loved making them. I would do the hard work of mixing the batter and rolling it out, and she would press the gingerbread man-shaped cutter into the soft dough. And while she laid the cut cookies out and added sprinkles, I stared at the holes, the figure-shaped holes left. And it occurs to me now that a precise Christine-shaped hole has been cut out of me, maybe you too. And all the details of her profile are there in our very flesh. And clearly, it is one of those wounds that won't ever close over, but that we will carry as a permanent feature of our anatomy, a hole. I want to flash back to a scene in our movie. The young ALS-stricken poet who has just crashed her car into the neighbor's living room. She is standing on the curb with the neighbor family, who are all unhurt. The emergency crew are swarming the wreckage. And her neighbor, the man of the house, in a t-shirt and pajama bottoms, turns to her and he says, "Well, it's a good place for a window." So we're stuck here in this current life, and we've lost our mirror, and instead we have this Christine-shaped hole. Maybe it's a window.